Welcome to April's Garage. There's some rumors going around from The Sun, which is like British tabloids.
Well, it's an article that's published saying they know who the hosts are of the Grand Tour.
Right. So it's just a big deal, but it's like not confirmed yet. We don't know for sure, but now it's spreading all over the place. And
who can replace the trio, the famous trio, Jeremy Clarkson, James May, Richard Hammond? Of course, they came over to Amazon and made the Grand Tour after the big fallout with Top Gear, and Top Gear continued with a bunch of different new hosts to try it out, and it didn't work. And now Top Gear is thoroughly dead, but they think the Grand Tour can continue on with new hosts. And I know they've been trying out lots and lots of people, casting lots of lines out to sea, and of course people are lobbying for this job as well. But it seems like at least the Sun thinks it's pretty certain, and it's two guys you would expect. Of course, Thomas Holland from Throttle House and his partner James Englishman, his partner in the videos. I don't know if they're a couple or not, but they're not. But you know what I mean. His partner. Well, it's funny how the story comes about because Thomas started the channel 10 years ago, and actually James came when he started doing reviews. And came just as a cold email as a fan and gave suggestions on how he could improve. And then came around and started helping them, and then they started doing videos together.
You'll get some suggestive emails of, oh, you should do better at this. You could be better, change. So I'm surprised you didn't get mad at this guy.
It wasn't like knocking on Enzo Ferrari's door when you're Mr. Lamborghini and just slamming the door in the face. It was receptive, and it led to a collaboration, and now it is one of the biggest car YouTube review channels out there, if not one of the top 5 biggest car YouTube channels at this point.
Well, and I don't know if this is a safe thing to say, but being a female, I'm not their target demo, and I watch their videos all the time. They do a great job.
Yes, they each pose in a thumbnail, and they can see who can look better when they cross their arms next to the car,
Yeah, because it makes your muscles
you got to puff your arms like that,
Right? Do some sit-ups.
They do next to the cars, and each video, they have sort of a competition on who can do that pose better. And the videos, are excellent.
Right, of course.
So, the third choice, nobody else would have called this at all, but...
Which is why it's so great.
His name is Francis Bourgeois, and you've probably seen one of his videos, and it's where he straps a GoPro to his head, and it gives him a weird proportioned face, and as a train goes by, he's just freaking out. It's just with joy, overwhelmed with joy and happiness as the train goes by.
I can't not watch his excitement in his face.
You can't look away from it. That's the thing. You can see he tells what the train's going to be. You can see the build up, the excitement, and then when it happens, he's just overwhelmed with happiness and glee and all this stuff.
It's real. Which is, I feel like YouTube, the channels have grown because they're real, and you can feel that, and you can really feel that 1,000% from this guy, every bit of emotion. You feel like a little kid with him enjoying these trains where I've never looked at a train with that much excitement before, but now I do.
Well, so it's 2.4 million followers on TikTok, which I have no TikTok, so I just see it randomly on different things. But he studied mechanical engineering at the University of Nottingham and was briefly hired by Rolls-Royce in their engineering program. So he has sort of that tech or engineering background, which could come into play with cars. And if he's just overwhelmingly gleeful on all these adventures, how can you not enjoy watching this?
It's kind of like when you saw your Escalades come in. And that excitement, we're all kind of it's cool, and you're overly excited, but then that gets the whole room not as excited as you, but excited for these Escalades.
Well, I was very excited about those Escalades. Not quite how nuts this guy goes on the trains. If this turns out to be true, I think Amazon did a great job getting people built in that already have chemistry, and then somebody who's just kind of weird and over the top enthusiastic about everything. It makes sense. So I think they did a solid job. Still, I've met the Throttle House guys and hung out with them. Do you want to do this?
Right. That's the real question, because I know you were talking about, if this were a thing, it would take your life over completely, and this would be kind of in the wasteland.
So right now they have a pretty good thing going, a really good thing going with Throttle House. Obviously the production values are insanely expensive for the videos they make, and Amazon's going to bring that to the next level.
Right.
So, I don't know if they're becoming extraordinarily wealthy off of their YouTube channel based on how much they have to put into it, but obviously there's sponsors and everything else. But you're giving up control.
Oh.
You're giving up. I'm sure they'll still have their YouTube channel and be able to do that on the side. I'm sure they're negotiating that deal. But if you're going with a big fish like Amazon, where there's all these corporate big heads coming through and just big heads, is that a word, or big ones?
It just became one right now.
Anyway,
some metaphors for corporate
basically,
people.
you know, the studios will tend to ruin things with notes and all that stuff, especially with as many eyeballs are going to be on this. Like, these people are replacing what was, when it was Top Gear, the biggest show on earth. It was the biggest show on earth.
Well,
it's an institution.
No matter who comes in, there's going to be hate. No matter what, they're going to be like, "Oh, you guys aren't the original," and they're going to get picked on, and they have to push through that sort of hump to get past that kind of gossip and to get to really know. The audience needs to get to know them, because the TV audience doesn't really know them as well, because they're mainly on digital. So is that going to translate, and how is that going to translate?
It's on Amazon, so streaming platform. There's no audience on TV anymore. I feel like their built-in audience will go over and see what happens. I think most people have heard of Throttle House and seen a video at this point, but I just wonder if there's a question like, do you want to do this? Do you want to hitch your wagon to something that's going to be hard to match the original, as far as the trio, as far as that?
Try it out. No regrets. Let's do this.
Okay.
Come on.
But I'm just saying, YouTube at this point has become such a huge media platform itself, bigger than anybody else. And the production quality is so ridiculous. Today, they lifted the embargo on the Corvette ZR1. So everybody, as far as in the review world, has posted videos on the ZR1. And of course, the most insane one is Haggerty's with Jason Camiso.
It sort of looks like a movie.
It is better than anything Top Gear or Grand Tour, as far as production quality-wise, have ever done for an intro. It is so over the top.
It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
You can tell they're using like $1 million cameras and their angles and their shots and the editing and all the color correction of all the details. It's all in there, and it literally feels like we just saw Mission Impossible. Like, it could be in that movie.
And that is with, you know, a huge amount of budget from Haggerty paying for this, and there's a commercial in it for people to encourage them to get their insurance and all that stuff. So corporate is really getting involved in social media, getting involved in really high quality production, and YouTube is the platform. So I don't know if they need to do this. Obviously, like with my show, I went from YouTube and got hired on. There's a fly getting April. Oh no, and she's trying to be professional and avoid it. So I go from YouTube to Motor Trend.
Right.
And I mean, obviously, this is linear TV, where the show's doing good with 100, 120, 180 on its best day, 1,000 people watching, versus my YouTube channel averaging 500,000 views a video.
Which is crazy.
And the budget for TV, about $100,000 an episode for my show on TV versus, you know, YouTube. I'm here. It's, you know, so it's just so strange. But obviously, I've been left in the dust a little bit. I mean, my channel's really not growing as much as it used to. I mean, just a little bit. My views have sort of been the same for a while. And obviously, like, what the expectation now is for YouTube videos with these huge productions coming through.
It's feeling pressure to have a higher production value for your YouTube videos?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, because if I do put money into a crew and a crazy amount of production, I cannot put out the volume of videos that I currently put out. It would just be impossible.
Sure.
And then the cost would go up an unbelievable amount, and it just wouldn't work unless there was a big corporate sponsor. So that's with Car Trek. If we're going to keep doing that once or twice a year, we had to take 2 years off because Freddie got lost in his P1 for a couple of years. It didn't come out from underneath.
Don't blame Freddie.
It is 100% Freddie's fault. It's the only reason why we didn't do it for 2 years, because he's like, I'm going to get this P1 going, and then we'll do Grand Tour, or do Car Trek. But finally we said, hey, you know, it's been a couple of years, you can take a break and come with us for a week. And, you know, he enjoyed the break, I think. And so far we've seen some of the rough cuts that's coming together. I'm really excited for you guys to see
really funny.
what's
just
coming.
Naturally, you're going to love it.
Yes.
It's great.
But that requires a big investment as far as the sponsorship with Auto Tempest, in order for us to have this crew of 4 or 5 guys and all of the, as far as production, actually going somewhere and doing something, you know, crazy with the cars. It costs, it was multiple 6 figures, and we got it down to a little over $100,000 budget, I think.
Sure, which is a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not as far as production's concerned.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see, because Throttle House are already so high quality with what they're doing on YouTube, obviously very high budget for YouTube videos. But what are they going to do with Jeff Bezos' purse strings? You know?
I don't know. I feel like because Jeff Bezos is tied to it, they can really do whatever they want to. They could dream up, they could go into Blue Origin for no reason at all, just because, you know, they can really just like the sky's the limit with that Bezos money.
And I wonder if Thomas, their first one will be like in completely craptastic beater BMWs, because that's all his channel was for the first couple of years, was just him reviewing, showing repair tips on like junk BMWs, which I watched multiple times.
So
and then he started getting into reviews and things.
So you think they should kind of stay in Hoopty land or get in that hyper supercar vein?
You have the money of Amazon, and I feel like the last little few Grand Tours were in Hoopties. They weren't like in the crazy, ridiculous hypercars. And I feel like they could start big. They could start with like what Haggerty did with Ferrari, a ZR1 and a Revuelto, and try and go somewhere and do things that you've never seen with that, since they have, you know, millions of dollars to burn and can risk destroying the cars. But the other part of it is the auto manufacturers. Are they going to play ball? Because in this, the Haggerty video with the 3 cars, they couldn't get a Ferrari. Ferrari would not loan them a car for this comparison test with the ZR1, because they knew the ZR1 would completely annihilate everything they had for, you know, $500,000 less. And there's that fly, it's back again. So they didn't loan them a car.
The ZR1's that powerful.
It's 1,000 horsepower.
Wow.
Twin turbo. It's insane. Yeah. Then the fly's getting me now. I don't know. But yeah, so Ferrari wouldn't play ball with a YouTuber. And in the Fast with Top Gear, there were some times where, was it Bentley or Rolls-Royce, where they wouldn't provide them a car. So Top Gear made fun of them and pretended that this like Lada, or this Eastern European piece of junk, was a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley, and kept referring to it because Rolls-Royce wouldn't give the car. And that they learned their lesson that way. The Fly is very enthusiastic about it. But it'll be interesting that, if they can get manufacturers to play ball on this level of production, because otherwise they have to buy the cars or borrow the cars or rent cars from somebody. And to do that and then go on a crazy trek, if you will, say like 1,000 miles in Africa with a Revuelto and a ZR1, you can't really do that with somebody's borrowed car without, you know.
So you approve of the casting, you're okay with it, you're a little worried, like where are you at with that?
I don't think there's anybody that's going to be able to match these guys, and I feel like they need to completely revamp, change the format, make it feel very different, because if they take these 3 white dudes, just 30 years younger, and put them in the exact same scenario, in the exact same circumstances, there's going to be too much comparison versus something completely different. And that's the thing. Top Gear was so revolutionary, and it's basically based what Throttle House, whatever YouTube channel, my YouTube channel is like, how we review cars, how we talk about cars, Clarkson's, you know, quips as he's driving. It's inspired this whole genre now, almost 30 years later. And nobody has reinvented the wheel yet from basically the Top Gear format. And I'm not creative enough to figure it out. I've been doing the same thing on YouTube for 10 years, you know, buying the cheapest whatever hunk of junk and losing my butt on it.
You got a lot up your sleeve still.
I don't.
Thanks so much for watching.